Okay. At Bharat, we build LLMs which are multimodal and multilingual by nature. We have models across different modalities on vision, on speech, on text that are spread across these different languages. And we not only stop at the model layer, we also develop applications with different partners. So here in this booth, you're seeing different applications across different sectors. So here there's an application on governance, there's an application on education, there's an application on healthcare, and there's an application on from the BFSI sector. Indian use cases are very different, and they have to be dealt with a particular nuance. For example, let's say I might be mixing in a lot of different, let's say I might be mixing Hindi words, or let's say you converse with a chatbot. You might want to just type Hindi, but in English. So we all do that with our friends, right? We might be like, "Arey kya ho raha hai?" All of this. So we want intelligent systems. We want LLMs to actually understand this context, and there might be some very like catchphrases that we kind of use, which is very popular in our language. But LLMs, if you just translate it to English, it might not really make that sense. So we know that this is going to happen, and even let's say speech, dialects are different. You go across the country, the dialect of Hindi that you speak, the kind of words that you use are very different. So we know that this is going to happen in our downstream use cases. So we inbuild these capabilities into our models. And this particular application that you're seeing here is on governance. So we did it in collaboration with the government of Maharashtra. So it's on a lot of government documents that they have, and they want to build intelligent understanding systems around that. But you can refer to the other booths as well and know more about the use cases.
Okay, I'll ask you some questions. So, other than the fact that you are associated with government, how are you different from ChatGPT and Gemini?
Correct. So ChatGPT and Gemini, these are models built in the West. So a lot of their training data, all of that is Western, and their default biases are towards the Western. So for example, you go and ask ChatGPT what I want to have for breakfast. It might tell that you have avocado toast and omelette, but it might not tell you, let's say, idli sambar, or let's say have parathas as a default. And a person, let's say we want to make AI reach the last mile. Let's say there is a farmer who wants to use AI because it is kind of inevitable. It's going to anyway come into the day-to-day life. But he can't be typing into ChatGPT, I'm an Indian farmer from this background. He can't be giving that, and then I want to understand what I can do for. If he can already do that, then AI would have been accessible. We want to basically make this accessible, bridge the gap, and also make these speech first also, so that we can talk in our own language, in our own dialect, and by mixing all of like how we do English and all of this, and the system still understands that as what it is, and it is able to respond in its own body.
Well, that's quite generic. Like if you remember, in last year summit, Honorable Prime Minister had pointed out the biases of AI, in which he said that if you ask AI to make a picture of a left-handed man, he will come up with the right-handed man. Okay, so are you able to solve that problem, because that is a big problem if you look at the field of AI?
Correct. So that's a very good example that you brought in. So this is an example on the image generation domain, but there's a lot of examples across different modalities that we actually come across. So for example, let's say you are having, let's take a speech-based example. Let's say there is it's just English model only. You want to have TTS. TTS is text to speech. You have a text, and let's say there is some Indian word coming. Let's say there is Aadhaar card. Aadhaar card is an Indian word, but it is written in English. The model should not, based on its previous experiences, just call it Aadhaar card or anything else rather than Aadhaar card. So it's a very, very slight nuance, and this is just one example. There might be more complicated Hindi words that are actually used as English words, and so having these biases in these models, and also knowing on how to modulate when you speak, and even when you deal with, let's say, vision capabilities, as you are asking on left and right, we ensure that our data mixes are unbiased, and we are having data partnerships with a lot of different institutions so as to collect on-ground data in order to mitigate these biases.
So what are you guys doing to ensure that your data is not biased?
So as I said, most of the LLM building companies, when they're handling Indian data, the data that they get is mostly from whatever is scraped from the web. But what we do is, because we want to build models that are actually culturally grounded, and we wanted to mitigate these biases. We have a lot of data partnerships with a lot of different institutions, and we have a separate unit inside Bharat, which is called Bharat Data Sagar, and we are collecting data sets which are already made by other, let's say, academicians. We are going and collecting on-ground data so as to cover every nook and corner of the country and have representative data that goes into building these models, so that the models are